Good morning.
I am very honored, proud, and privileged to congratulate Krista Blomberg from the Rib Lake Public Library and Tammy Blomberg, no relation, from the Rib Lake Public Library, and Annette Miller from the Tomahawk Public Library and Heidi O'Hare, the director of the Tomahawk Public Library. And I'm honored, proud, and privileged to be congratulating them for their work on the Innovation and Collaboration Literacy Grant. So these two libraries teamed up for the first Innovation and Collaboration Literacy Grant from 2019 to 2020, and it was inspired by the Innovation and Collaboration Grant without literacy in it. But their process in this whole endeavor started a long time ago. It started with getting involved with Wvls. It started with asking questions of consultants. It started with their directors empowering them to attend things like conferences and workshops and webinars online and youth services meetups. Like I said, this grant is an offshoot of the Innovation and Collaboration Grant that you've heard of before with Owen building their Wi-Fi gazebo out by their park in front of their library space and others like that. Well, this grant, although it put $20,000 towards re-envisioning, remodeling, and reimagining their youth space. More so, it's about deepening the connection between the libraries, allowing for the librarians to grow through this experience and process, and building and planning for the future of their library spaces and for their professional lives. This project emphasizes the library as an experience much more than things and even programs, even though that's what we are really good at right now. So the experts are in. We have Krista and Annette, and they are going to describe their process, give us some insight into their experiences, give us some takeaways that they are going to remember forever as they lived through it, and they're going to talk about their plans going forward. Oh, and they're going to walk you through their completely remodeled, transformed, wonderful spaces. And you'll notice that I presented differently today. I used a semi-script for myself, and you'll know that that's not usually how I present. But that's because this is a very momentous occasion. This is the Nobel Peace Prize for these two librarians. This is a big, big endeavor. And I hope that they are enjoying this experience in exchange for a party in their spaces. We're coming to them the best way we can. So the alphabet starts with an A. So Annette, would you like to go first?
Well, I have to tell you that yesterday I asked Krista what order we should go in, and then I said, what would you think about going in alphabetical order by library? And then I said, can you go in alphabetical order by library? Or we could do rock, paper, scissors. And so I actually, if you don't mind, Anne, would like to differ. I think we kind of feel like maybe Krista kind of feels like she's ready to go first because we've kind of talked that through.
Absolutely.
Is that okay with you?
Oh, yes. Let's hear it, Krista.
And there's just a good example of what a treasure of a collaborator Krista is. So I will let her take off.
All right. Well, hi. And of course, on my screen it says Tammy, but I'm Krista Blomberg, and I'm from the Rib Lake Library. I will be using some notes today, so hopefully I won't forget important things that I want to share. I wanted to start out by just saying thank you to Wvls for this grant. You really have made a difference in our community, in our library, and also in my life personally and professionally. And I'm really excited to be able to share with you what we created together. When I first started thinking about this, I first heard about it, and it was such a big thought. My first instinct was to write it off. Like, that's too big. I can't handle that. And it was very overwhelming. But Anne Hamlin, being who she is, just made it sound so exciting. And I started letting the thought in, and I started imagining what we could do here. And I talked to my director, Tammy Blomberg, and she was very supportive. And all of that support just gave me the like, oh my goodness, I think I'm going to try. I'm going to apply. So I did, and I had to start looking for a library to apply with. And I thought I wanted somebody that was a bigger library so that I could maybe be exposed to a wider way of doing things. I wanted a library that had great programs, and I wanted it to be semi-close to my area of the world. And I found all of that in Annette at the Tomahawk Library. I knew about their Stories by the River that she had been doing for years. I think I even took my kids to their library programs a couple times when they were little, even though it's a half hour away from me. And I just had seen her at our Youth Services Information Exchanges, one of our youth services programs through Wvls, and just was drawn to her. So I reached out and I was like, Annette, do you think you would be willing to do this with me? And after some thought, she said yes. And I'm so glad she did. So we met together at the beginning, met with Anne, met with Annette in both of our spaces, and started thinking about what did we want in our spaces. It was really great to meet in both of those places. I knew that I really wanted to highlight the 5 early literacy tools of read, write, talk, play, sing. I knew that I really wanted something to make a big impact and provide color when you walked into our library, because if you can see my background, white walls is kind of the general around here. I'm not showing you the area just yet. So I wanted color and impact. And I also wanted a bilingual aspect to our space, because we have a Hispanic population in this area, and I really wanted them to see something here that would make them feel more comfortable as part of our community. So those were 3 things. When I started, I first imagined this one little corner. We had a reading cubby already in our children's area, and I just imagined that being the space. And as I thought about it and sat in our space, I thought, wait, this is not enough. And it went from that small corner to our whole children's area, which you get to see in a little bit. So the impact in color, I really wanted to be a mural. I envisioned a mural on a big wall that we have. And so some of the roadblocks of that was that I really trying to find applicants. I wanted somebody local or connected to Rib Lake. And trying to find them was a bit of a challenge. I remember having conversations with Anne about it. I talked to our local art teacher to see if there was a Hispanic artist that I could get to do it. And I just kept hitting roadblocks. I did finally find 3 people that had connections to our area, and they all agreed to submit a proposal. But another roadblock was that there were delays in the submissions, and I extended deadlines, and in the end, I only had 1. But it was a good one. It was a very strong submission by a person whose kids went to school here in Rib Lake, a woman who isn't an artist professionally, but does amazing work. And So we moved forward with that, and what she created was really exciting. A couple other roadblocks along the way was just the slow progress. Sometimes it felt like I just wasn't making enough. And Annette, you know how much you and I talked about that along the way.
Yeah, it was hard sometimes.
Yeah, and also not having a grand opening, that was a roadblock, which I'm excited that we get to do this here with you today. And also now, because of COVID, we don't have a lot of our things out. I've actually put more into our space right now so that you can see the whole vision. But most of the time, some of these things are actually not out and available yet. Hopefully, the time will come soon when they can be more. So two things that really helped me through some of my roadblocks were, again, talking to Annette. I really needed her perspective to be successful in all of this. She was a sounding board, a motivator, and an encourager. And I not only consider her a trusted and valued coworker, but also a friend now. A second thing that was a really big help in overcoming roadblocks was something that was put into the grant process, and that was our monthly reports. I know that they were challenging, but they were very important for me to see the progress that was being made, and also just to take time to reflect on what did I want this to be, and was that happening? And so that was something that I just really value. So something very exciting and fulfilling for me was the whole mural process. Once I found the artist and saw the submission that she gave us, I just was so excited. I knew that it would allow patrons to actually see the process. You know, she worked during library hours. It was going to, I hoped, and I believe it did, encourage budding artists. And I just want to read a couple. Our artist had left a notebook out for patrons when they came in to leave comments, to ask questions. And so this will go to the artist eventually, but I've kept it for this report. I wanted to read a couple things that patrons have said. This was actually a staff member. She said, "Your art is a surprise every day to my eyes. Thank you for your time and your talent." One patron came in and just sat one day, watched the artist, just sat and watched. And then when he left, he wrote, "I sat and I looked and I smiled. Beautiful." And then we have a couple patrons actually that are deaf. And she actually signed deaf by her name here. And so I wanted to include that aspect. But she wrote, Elise, that's the artist's name, "Doing an amazing job with painting. It is so beautiful. It's bringing joy, happiness, and emotion." And that, I think, is one of my favorite quotes that I found in here. So a very fun connection was that this was kind of after the fact. So the artist, I had asked her to include an idea and a word for each of the 5 literacy skills in the mural. And she did an amazing job of that. But I also realized along the way that there were 5 animals in there, and each animal related to one of the early literacy skills or tools. And you're going to see how that came out in our signage. And when I met at Annette's, she had some really great folk Manus puppets there that just caught my attention. And as I realized the connection with the animals in the mural, I said, "Annette, do you mind if I get some of those puppets? Could you tell me where you got them?" And so we were able to find one of the puppets for each of the animals just to give kids that chance to play and connect with the mural. So that was very exciting. So the owl that you will see is related to reading. The wise old owl, we often see owls and reading together, paired. Fox are thought of as very playful, and so the fox is in our Let's Play Together area. Squirrels are known to chatter and they talk, and so that is let's talk together. Raccoons are the ones that use their hands, and so the raccoon is in our let's write together area. And frogs, they croak and they sing, and so that's in our let's sing together. So having shared all of that, I'm going to now give you a tour of our space. I'm going to switch my camera around for this, if I can figure out how to do that. I know that I did this before. Sorry. And do you happen to remember? Oh, I see where it is. All right.
Awesome.
So here we go. So you come into our space, and this is our front door here. Walk you from there. And when you come in, we've got our desk. And our children's area is in this kind of left wing of the library. I just want to give you that feel as we walk in.
And you can see the blue from the front door.
Yes, the blue on the back wall. So each of the 5 literacy tools has a space. And so this is our Let's Write Together area. And you can see that our artist put the animal that I wanted right on the sign that a different local artisan had created for us. Let's Write Together. And so there's both, it's a whiteboard and magnetic board. So markers, and also we've got these English-Spanish tiles. So Spanish on one side, English on the other. And over here is our Let's Play Together area. We already owned this structure, but it was just had an outdated cover. And right now you see 2 covers. This is a more structured roof, but I also have what is a very whimsical roof full of these shears that can go over it. We have that put away right now just because it's harder to clean and keep clean. So here's our Let's Play Together area. Again, these items aren't usually out for everybody, but I've got, this would be one of our signs. Let's play together, and with the help of my daughter, who is a Spanish major, and one of our patrons who's a native speaker, I was able to do Spanish on one side and English on the other. And so this is like, let's play, imagine ourselves gardening, and there's a few things for them to be able to do that with. We come over here, and up above on the back wall, let's read together. And you'll see each of the signs also have the Spanish translation. Vamos a leer juntos. I'm not a native Spanish speaker, but I've learned some Spanish. And there's the owl. I think this is one of my favorites. Let's sing together. And this is our music wall that we created. A local artisan, same one who did the signs, created this space for instruments and music. We had the boom whackers, and they can come out. Kids can play with them, hit them on things, and they have different musical sounds to them. They can also check those out. But you'll see there's a curtain up here that I can pull down and cover the wall so that for the most part right now, this is usually closed, just because cleaning all those things in between each kid would be very challenging. So some of these are actual instruments, like the drum pad and the triangle, but some of them are just creative things, like the colander and the washboard and some of these other utensils you might see in your kitchen. And then let's talk together. I used a pillow because I didn't have anything else over here, so we made the squirrel into a pillow that sits on the chair. Let's talk together. That's our sign for that area. And here's the mural that we were able to create with the help of our artist that just makes such a beautiful impact here in our library, and I love it. And each of the 5 early literacy tools are up there in both English and Spanish. There's a little reading nook. And you can see that these are the puppets. Our director's husband is a very handy carpenter, and he created a holder for each of the puppets on here. This is a life cycle frog that Folk Manus has. There's an owl's head turns. We've been able to increase our bilingual book selection. And overall, I also wanted you to see that we had an electrician who came in and put the hanging lights in. I'm going to turn them on. There we go. And I really wanted something that would bring the color from the ceiling and provide some movement in the area, and then the rug to just anchor the colors all together. And one last thing in the tour would be an example of one of our early literacy kits. So these things all fit in the box to be able to put away and also to be able to travel to Tomahawk, because we'll be sharing these together. And so we'll be able to be sharing some of our bilingual things, which I think will be such a great thing for them. But I'm so excited to have the nature-based things that they have. He's going to tell you about. Don't want to steal her thunder. Sorry, Annette. And so each of the signs, again, are bilingual. I was able to work with a local person to take these that I bought and have them put the Spanish translation on the background, which our native Spanish speaker was able to help me make sure I got right. So the parts of the frog, and then also the life cycle of it. There's a song here about the life cycle of the frog, and even some little frog jumpers that they can play with. So a lot of the tools are represented in the kits. All right, I'm going to turn my camera around for the end here.
Can you talk about the furniture?
Oh, yes. So let me switch back. Yeah, so the furniture, we were able to get this great ottoman and chair. I wanted it big enough that an adult and a kid could sit down comfortably together. We were also able to update the cubby cushion and really make that more inviting. And I purchased the yoga cushions to be able to use on the floor for the whiteboard, but also we use them in story time when we do have in-person story times, which is not now. And I got one stool to use in the children's computer area. We also have a chair still, but sometimes I see this ottoman pulled over next to it, so it's just very versatile. People move it where they want to move it, and that's the furniture that we were able to add to the space. I hope I'm doing okay on time. It's so much to share, and I just really wanted you to be able to get that feel. There's a couple more things I want to address. I am really glad when I started this that I didn't know about COVID. I think that would have been really discouraging from the beginning, and so it's so good that we can't see into the future. I really wanted, in preparing for the grand opening, to have some of our native Spanish speakers come in and test out our kits, and that had not happened by the time that COVID hit. So that's something that I really would like to still see happen as we open up more for that kind of thing, to maybe do a small test out day, and that also hopefully will invite, have people be able to see, oh, Rib Lake Library really, is welcoming and has things for people who are Spanish speakers. And then some things that really have benefited our community through this is that even though we have COVID and we can't have people in, a lot of the signage that was created, I end up using in my virtual programming, and that's been really neat. I will set up so that the Let's Read Together is behind me and people can see it. Or sometimes I'll use one of the literacy kits as a demonstration of something. And then because I started thinking about reaching out to our Hispanic population, when we created a story walk in Rib Lake last spring, which I think I had the, the courage to try something new again because of this grant and my experience with it, that I thought immediately we're going to do a bilingual book. And so my thoughts have grown, and I think in those ways now because of it. I have much better knowledge of our community resources, and we used our community resources as much as we could, local electrician, a local artist, the artisans that created the things, the personalized treasures that helped me make very unique items for our kits. And I am really appreciative of the ongoing relationship that I know Annette and I will continue to have. I want to read something to you in closing, and I'm going to just read this it's from my report. You'll find it somewhere in that report that I did and turned in. The biggest roadblock that I faced, and I continue to face, I'm sorry, the part that give me 1 second. The part that I printed off to read is not what I wanted to read. There we go. I'm going to read it from here. This is the first time that I applied to receive a grant. It was a really scary thing to do that, and I wish I had known before I did the wonderful direction that I would receive from Wvls and the amazing support that I would receive from my partner, from my director, from our library staff who just, did background work of things that I was letting go because I was working on this. And especially our community. I know I would not have been as afraid. Overall, it was an experience that energized me, and it built confidence, and it connected me to more of our community. And it created something really wonderful here for our patrons in our little corner of the world. And I am really blessed to have been part of that. I just also want to say thank you to Wvls for allowing that to happen, providing for that to happen. And I want to say thank you to you, Annette, for being there, for encouraging, to you, Anne, to you, Tammy, because I know you're on there. I saw your name. And thank you for coming today. Thank you for all your support for this. And I wish our staff was here to hear me say this, but I'm so grateful for just their encouragement and excitement along the way and their support. And so thank you all.
Krista, before Annette talks, my name is Mike. I'm a member of the Wvls Board of Trustees, and I'm a former gifted and talented resource teacher. I really liked reading your account, your written account of sharing the thoughts that you had as you went into analyzing what you're going to do in the planning. And so I congratulate you on writing a really nice report to that. And I would suggest to you, if you wanted to pursue the bilingual aspect of it a little bit more, there is an organization called Wisconsin-Nicaragua Partners. And it's based in Stevens Point, but that might be a good contact for you in terms of children Spanish-speaking children down in Nicaragua, and maybe setting up some, in your writing part, some pen pal experiences for your Rib Lake kids.
Wow, that's a really great thought and a really great idea. Thank you for sharing that. Especially right now, that would be something that people could do that isn't, having to be all together in one space. So thank you, and I would love to follow up with you on that. Thank you, Anne, for writing that down.
Krista?
Yes?
This is Eileen. I am your Taylor County representative for Wbls.
Hi.
Hi. I am looking forward to summer when I can come and visit your library. Excellent. Very
Thank
good.
you. I'm excited to have people come and see it.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm just so proud of you guys. I'm not turning my camera on because my face is all blotchy. So,
Well, I have to speak next, so
I want to encourage everybody to write any questions they have into the chat. So you don't forget them, and we make sure to talk about them. It is 10:08, so that's our time right now. Annette, take it away.
well, everything she said, the end. No, I'm teasing. I am very emotional after listening to that. It was wonderful, and thank you so much, Krista, for your kind words. And good morning, everyone. My name is Annette Miller, and I am the children's librarian here at the Tomahawk Public Library. I've been here over 18 years as the children's librarian, and I am very grateful for this job every day. Before I go any further into my talk, which will not be anything near like what you just heard, I just wanted to say what an honor it is that our library was selected as a co-recipient of this grant. And in a little while, I'll show you what we were able to create here. But first, I'm going to start kind of where Krista did. I'm not as gifted in her ways of speech, so please bear with me. I'm much more comfortable if I have a picture book in my hand and a group of children in front of me. So it was actually suggested that we apply for this grant. So suggested to us, and I think if it weren't, we truthfully would not have applied, very much as Krista had said. There would be no way that we would get a grant like that. And then more information came. It was kind of designed for small libraries, and there might be a collaborating partner that was interested nearby, and more interest sparked, and pretty soon it changed from interest to possibility. And then we started thinking about the space. What would be the focus of this grant? We'd already added some things in that space back in, I think, 2012 with an LSTA grant. There are already a lot of things in library land talking about the importance of early literacy practices, and so we had added a few manipulatives in that area, some toys and things like that. And that was a long time ago, and that area of our library is very well used, so those things were becoming worn. And another reason why that area is used so much is because of where we are here in Tomahawk. Cold winter days in Tomahawk provide no place for families to go when cabin fever sets in. We really don't have a place for grown-ups to bring their children, and so they come to the library. And we are also in a resort area, a vacation area. In the summer, if we've had a few rainy days in a row, cabin fever again, where do families go to spend time with their children? To the library. And we are lucky enough to have a very beautiful library with a lot of space. And so we did have some of those things back there for people to spend time here. But then we took that into consideration and thought about the grant some more and thought, why not? Why not apply for this amazing grant and make this space even better? And as a part of that, something that's important to me is spending time outdoors. And every summer library program kickoff, I start off by telling the kids, please try to read a little bit every day. something that you choose that's fun, and please try to spend some time outside. Look where we live. We live in a beautiful area of the state. It's important for kids to spend time outside. We all know about, well, it's important for everyone to spend time outside. We all know about that for our mental well-being, but it's the way I raised my kids, and I just think it's important to emphasize that, along with reading and early literacy. And so that vision of spending time outdoors became the vision, why not bring the outdoors indoors, and then incorporate the early literacy practices along with it. So then we were told, we found out that Rib Lake Public Library was hoping to apply for the grant and needed a collaborating partner, and it was destiny. We talked, and it turned out that our goals were very similar, and that was it. And we had a few meetings. Then Heidi and I, our director here, sat down and kind of talked about those visions of, you know, the space and being kind of a nature space. Then she actually completed the grant application because she had a lot more experience in that than I did. And we submitted everything, and then not long after that we were told that we were given the grant, and now came the decisions. So I started looking on the internet as we applied for the grant and submitted it, about the concept of bringing the outdoors indoors and what other libraries maybe were doing with regard to that, or maybe nature centers and things like that. And so all of a sudden I was scrolling around and I found this picture. It caught my eye, from Kenosha Public Library's North Branch. And they had this beautiful bright blue sky and these white puffy clouds. And I'm like, that's what we want. That's where we're starting with that. And so that was the beginning. And then after that, Heidi and I sat down and we talked about what would set the scene in the space. We did some sketches, trees, a cabin, different things like that. So those were the next pieces that fell into place. She found some really wonderful woodworkers in our area, and we have a painter that we've used over the years for a lot of projects here. And so these three men helped us to create the background for the space that we had in mind. We wanted to maintain the vision and incorporate the practices of talk, sing, read, write, and play. It was challenging to me because I wanted to make good choices. This was a big responsibility. I struggled with that a lot. That was probably one of my biggest roadblocks, was the enormity. It's a lot. I wanted to make Wvls proud. I want to make the community proud. I want to make Anne proud. And so I got held up a couple times, and that is when the collaboration really came into play. Having someone to help you through those times, having someone just to share ideas with, to get new ideas from, all of those things that, when you know someone is going through the same things that you're going through, what a help that is. And so that's probably the most fulfilling, besides the actual end product. One of the most fulfilling parts of this was establishing the relationship that I have with Krista. She is calming. I am not calm. You can tell as I'm speaking here, I am not calm unless I'm in my complete element. She's fun. She's supportive. Perfect collaborator. I cannot tell you how grateful I am to now have this friend who is also a peer in my job and in my life. So it's a really wonderful thing. And the other supportive, motivative encourager who I could not have gone through this without is, of course, Ann Hamlin. And I'm sure that you all must know what a treasure she is. She was just so, always there when I had a question, always there when I needed a little, guidance or a little, push along the way. I cannot say enough. And not even just for the grant, but just for my role as a children's librarian. And I'm sure other people in the system feel the same way about how she supports us in her job. So, so I just wanted to make sure that I let you know how I felt about Anne, and especially the relationship that I have created with Krista. I'm so proud that this space is complete, but it is bittersweet. Yesterday afternoon, before I left for the day, I had to take everything out of storage and set up the space because it is not like that now. Everything is stored away. We have a yellow tape across that says this area is closed. It's so sad to me, but how we hoped to have the open house, all of those things, you know, were disappointing, but I have to just remember that there will be a time when we can promote the space, and there will be a time when the world is healthy again, that we can open it up and everyone can enjoy it. That's, you know, that's what we have to keep in mind, that the world will be healthy again and we will be able to do that. So I don't have a lot more to say about that. A lot of the things that Krista covered in her wonderful talk are a lot of the same things that I feel. A lot of the same struggles, a lot of the same gratitude for staff members, for the process. And so I'm not going to delay any further, and I really want to share this space with you. So now I'm going to try to see if I can figure out how to make my phone flip around and get you out where we belong. Oh, I see the pictures up that has the tape across and the sign on the cabin there, but I took all that down. Okay, let's see. Touch my phone here.
Maybe by the camera icon.
Click camera. Okay, so this is the front desk of the library with our plexiglass. There's the entrance with all of our COVID protocol and signage. And then I'm going to pretend I just came in the front door, and I'll take a left turn here. And on the way, I'm just going to make a quick little stop and show you that we have been the recipient of an endowment for natural resources education. And these nature backpacks that you see hanging here and then here kind of enhance the nature theme that we have started here. They were here first. And so now we're going to walk down toward the space, and you can see the bright blue sky and the puffy white clouds as we walk down the children's wing of the library. Over here to the right, that's my office. And we're going to get closer down here. And I'm just going to start in the middle because this was the beginning. Besides the bright blue sky and the puffy clouds, excuse me, the cabin, which was built by Lenny Bartz, a local woodworker, and the tree in the center, which is, I consider more of a piece of art than anything else. It's just an interesting focal point for the space. The green trees, the evergreens on the side, I did some searching and just found a pattern of a tree that I thought was appealing, and then I sketched out the pattern, and then another woodworker, Todd from Rock Falls. I'm getting nervous because I'm away from my cards. Anyway, so he did the trees for us, and he built these beautiful board book bins. We had a board book bin tower that was not very accessible for little people. I wanted something that was down on the ground that little people could crawl to access our board book collection in the space. This is our reading nook. There's one of the Folkmanis puppets that Krista commented about. I have Otter out today, and then in the nook I have books about otters, and you can see out the window. It's a nice sunny day here at the library. We are on the shore of the Wisconsin River. There's the Tomahawk River walk out back. So you can see how wonderfully the theme of nature and bringing the outdoors indoors just is a perfect fit for our space. We had a little tiny Lego table previously but I felt it was important to keep this kind of a manipulative in the area. And so we just found Legos that were along with the theme. You can see both the fishing and the animals. I will tell you that everything in the space had to be mobile, because this is the space we also use in the summer if we have a performer or a presenter. If we have Reggie come up from Anago, if we have Tom Pease here, this is the space we use. And so everything has to be mobile. This cabin can be pushed up against the wall. It's on wheels. It's extremely heavy. Kids can get in behind there. There's food. They can sit back there. They can bring the food outside. They can have s'mores. They can bring a picnic basket of food out. This is our little fire ring. They can sing campfire songs. I wanted a piece of furniture that adults could sit on along with children to share books or to participate, because they're supposed to be back here together interacting. And so what better than a park bench? And so we have a park bench in here. And then I wanted something that we would be able to remind people that the space was for development of early literacy. So I came up with the idea of having the directional sign like we see so many times out when we're driving in the country up in our area for resorts and things, only we just used it to talk about the 5 early literacy practices on the sign. The trees, Heidi came up with a wonderful idea of painting the trees with chalkboard paint. And so one of our literacy kits that we can share between our library and Rib Lake has chalk in it, and it talks about going to the window and looking outside and then coming back over to the tree and writing down what you saw when you were looking out the window. We had a mini tree, a chalkboard paint mini tree made, so that can travel back and forth to Rib Lake. For our literacy kits, we purchased this table so that adults and children can sit down together. This is an example of one of our literacy kits. We don't have a real strong presence of sing campfire songs, but we don't have a real strong presence of sing. I'll work on that. But in the meantime, we have a couple of our literacy kits that do cover the sing practice. This is our frog kit, and so I have a frog book out and the finger play and things like that. So these things will be changed out intermittently or exchanged with Rib Lake as well. And then this is our puppet theater. It was a plain red curtain, and we found a beautiful fabric that was very nature-like, because along the way, as we talked about, this was such a long process. I think it was good in a way, because slowly things were being added to the area, but people were still using the space. And the comments from people were like, I love the walls. And then all of a sudden we'd add a little bit more, I love the clouds. And, it was not something that we could just, get everything together and put it all in at once. It was a slow process to add things in, but every time it was just fun to see how the kids interacted with the pieces. But the puppet theater, I think, is one of my favorite things. We bought a whole 4 new puppet sets because ours were so worn from our first purchase. And then I have a little laminated sheet of a condensed story of, well, this one obviously you can tell is Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. It's fun to either the kids will make up their own play, or they'll use the card and they'll come and get someone from the staff and say, watch our play. Or you can just, when I'm in my office, I can hear them doing a puppet show. And so it's just, the space just makes me so happy that it has come together, and it is just such a bright spot in our building. And I hope it's to be a bright spot in our community, that people will be able to come and enjoy it someday again soon, when the world is healthy. I don't really have much more than that, other than I am extremely grateful for this opportunity to show you what the space looks like. I plan to take a video of the space so that I can at least share it with the community, but I'll have to be sure to make, the point of saying this is the space, but you can't, it's not open at this time, but it's something that you can definitely look forward to using and visiting. when we can again. So I think that's it for now. Let me see if I can flip it back to me. Okay. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much for selecting our library and for recommending Rib Lake Public Library. I can't say enough about what a wonderful experience this has been, and I'm so very grateful. And I hope that all of you have a chance to come up to Tomahawk sometime and visit our library. We would love to have you here to visit us. And so I think I'm going to just end it like that, because like I said, it is not my gift to just be a speaker. So I'm going to just turn it back over to Anne. Thank you so much again, everyone.
Beautiful. Tammy says it's beautiful, Annette. And I would like to invite the board to ask any questions. It is 10:27 right now, but I had muted some members that I will unmute now because extra careful. But yes, just a quick note that Krista and Annette have a record of everything they've ever done in the space. They have a record of every artist, every organization they've worked with, all of that. So if you're interested in any details, they can share. You can ask them personally as well. And their contact information is on their reports that are in your packets and online. So.
I have a question.
Yes, Paul.
Did the Tomahawk Leader do a feature story on this remodel?
Not yet. That was part of the plan for when we were going to have the open house, because I did not want to, because we really didn't do all the final completion of the space until during COVID. The last pieces were not put into place until it was during COVID, and so I did not want, I mean, there was a press release when we received the grant, but I did not want to promote or talk about or feature, do an article, I guess, that would probably be the best way to put it, until it was complete, and then this happened, and so we've had to put that on hold. But we definitely do want to promote it to the community when we can, and when it's, yes.
And that's when the plague is over. I got it. I understand that.
Yeah, we're all waiting for that, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Waiting and praying. Thank you.
This is Diane. I was up to the library prior to you doing this remodel. It looks great. Really cool.
Oh, thank
I'm sure
you.
the kids are really going to enjoy that, and the parents and everybody.
Thank
So
you.
great job.
Well, that's so sweet. Thank you so much.
This is Tom, President of the Wvls board. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the courage to attempt this. I mean, it's undaunting when you first see it, but we certainly appreciate the effort that you've done for library world. I know both of your areas are kind of resort type areas, so you're going to have lots of people coming to your library if and when. And what you can show, what can be done, it's not just books anymore. And I appreciate your efforts and time. I'm glad that the board has been able to set aside funds for the last several years. We hope that continues. Thank you very much for being librarians and for helping us in WVLS land. Thanks.
And this is Marla, and I just want to say too how proud I am of both of you for what you have done for the Rib Lake and Tomahawk libraries. And I am so grateful that WVLS was in a position to help you guys do something for your communities that you wouldn't have otherwise done. And this is just a great example for me of why I am so proud to be a director of a public library system. Thank you.